The Full Melt Show is intended for a mature audience. It contains adult themes, adult content, and sometimes adult language. Listener discretion is advised.
It's the Full Melt Show.
Are you high? What are you talking about?
It's the Full Melt.
The Full Melt Show. A marijuana discussion about news, culture, politics, and lifestyle. FullMelt.com. Toll free. 844-420-TALK. 844-420-TALK.
Hey, welcome back after a day off over the Bernie campaign. Here in Michigan, last night we had the Bernie Sanders win. It is a win in this state for the Democratic nomination for President of the United States. What an exciting evening it was. I can tell you there's a lot of fire. There's a lot of steam. There's some hellfire in the belly of them Bernie Sanders reporters, let me just tell you. And for good reason. I mean, for being an old Jewish man, Bernie Sanders is a hell of a guy when it comes to rowdying up a crowd. He had those people standing and cheering and chanting when I was volunteering for the Bernie Sanders camp when they appeared in East Lansing at the Breslin Center last week. And look, I was there with Jace, the service dog. We were acting as volunteers to work the ADA part of their campaign out in the lines of people standing in the freezing cold waiting to get into that building. And those lines were really long. And because Secret Service has to check everybody as they come through with extra security, it's not just the metal detector. You get the wand, they open your wallet, they go through all your stuff, they make you throw things away, they make you think leave things behind. And so we were just taking old people, the elderly and the extremely young, infants and toddlers, and then also their parents, and then of course the disabled people in wheelchairs and people that are also in a case where they're using crutches, this kind of thing. And we brought them to the front of the line so they didn't stand out in the freezing cold, because generally those people are either more vulnerable or more exposed. And it was the intention of the campaign not to make them suffer out in that cold. So we were doing that, but I'm just saying, after all that excitement, yesterday it was a voting day, and we were using this opportunity to gather signatures for the legalization petition drive that's happening here in Michigan. At least I was helping with the one called Am I Legalized? Other people may have been working trying to get people to sign for Abrogate Michigan. I would encourage you to sign both. If you're a voter in Michigan, if you live in the state of Michigan, you care about the cannabis issue, sign both of them. It's not going to hurt anything. I mean, from a talking head standpoint, and I hate this word because it so goes against all the rest of the English language, and it gets overused. It drives me insane when people use this word, so it even hurts more when I use it myself. Commentator. Just look up the rest of the English language. This word does not fit in with all the rest of the rules. But that's part of the English language. There's a bunch of exceptions to the rules. A-E-I-O-U, and sometimes Y. Well, wait a minute, and sometimes Y. What are you talking about? And there's a crap ton of other examples. I before E, except after C. Wait a minute, what do you mean, except after C? Why is C so special? You talk about somebody who's a commentator. I was always taught that you can comment, and you could be a commenter, but you can't be a commentator. But it is a word, so we'll just go with it, as much as it makes me grind my jaw. So we were out there. I was busy helping Am I Legalized gather signatures, because we were working the lines here at the polls yesterday while Bernie was busy beating Hillary's pants off by 2%. Look, I had friends that I was so counting on going to the polls. I was so sure they had gone and voted for Bernie, and they're like, oh, I didn't get a chance to go. I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh, I went and visited somebody in the hospital instead. I'm like, wait a minute. You could visit them before you voted, or you could visit them after you voted. Why did you leave out the part about you voted? Well, it just didn't work out. Well, I don't know. I guess it's somebody that works so hard at guiding policy, or at least, wishing one could guide policy independently. One that would like to see, you ever watch TV and when somebody is about to have a crash or they're about to run into something on TV and the audience is sitting there watching them about to do this from that perspective, and that's what the director wanted you to feel, is that tension. But everybody leans right, like as an audience member, you try to use your body to guide what you're watching on TV around the obstacle. It's kind of like when, there's a bunch of other Hollywood tricks they do for that stuff too, but you get the idea. People try to use their body to somehow physically will the screen to change, even though there's no connection there whatsoever. That'll never happen. But you tend to naturally want to do it. Like you're leaning that direction might help. It's like playing a video game and leaning. You're watching people with the buttons flying in, they're like leaning left and they're like leaning right. And that lean isn't helping anything in the game unless it's got other metrics on there literally watching your lean. But as far as just the gamepad alone goes, if you're just using a gamepad with any video system and people are, racing cars or doing whatever, first person crap they're doing, they like to, you see them watching, especially the racing cars, they'll lean left, they'll lean right as they're steering. It's like, that lean isn't helping you. The same thing goes with this policy stuff, You want to lean left, you want to lean right when you see these issues come, you zig and you zag, and you kind of want to physically lean in a direction that you would hope that those things would bend in. So it's in that spirit that I'm talking about going out and assisting the Bernie campaign. And in also collecting signatures for Am I Legalized? Because I'd like to see the people. You'd think that the people that are there voting for Bernie, and there were a lot of them, obviously over 50% of the Democrats in this state. So I don't know, what is that? Maybe 30% of the voters that turned out. I don't know what it would be. Anyways, you've got all that concentration of people that are politically aspired in the same direction as you. What a great opportunity to gather signatures, and I think they did. I'd love to get Jeff Hanks or maybe David Radoy or somebody on to maybe talk about that and give us an update post-Bernie election on the whole Am I Legalized thing. I know they were going into January and then into February and possibly even March, and here we are in March. You only got April, May, and June left before you've got to turn in signatures to get on the fall ballot, right? So there's literally only 3 months left to get this accomplished, and I still anticipate the state may take action to thwart that effort. A lot of promises have been made that they were going to do that up until now. The state of Michigan was going to take legislative action on bills proposed before them in an effort to, I've actually heard it coined this way, to minimum wage them out of the campaign. In other words, they did this with the minimum wage issue. People got together and were getting close to getting a minimum wage issue on the ballot, and they were fundraising for it and getting that done. And then the state of Michigan said, oh, we don't like what they're about to get done. They're about to do this. We better do something. They're taking our power away from us. They're taking it back. Oh, we got to exert our power before they do. So let's pass our own minimum wage package, even though it's antithetical to everything we want to do. We're not raising wages. If we raise wages, then all of a sudden, now these employers got to pay for it. This is a burden on business. Oh, it's such backwards thinking. Burden on business. The burden on business is the cost of doing business, you jackasses. So, back to the cannabis thing, that they were going to likely try and do this same thing that they did with the minimum wage thing, because they were successful by passing their own dumbed down, watered down, pissed on version of a minimum wage increase that really doesn't happen until like 2018 or 2019 or 2021. I don't remember. Whatever it is, it was ridiculous. Yeah, by the time cost of living goes back up, you'll still be living in the same place you were now. That's what you were doing, you jackasses, you tricksters. This is what happens when you hire a governor who's a bean counter to do the business of the state. I mean, you guys asked for this in Michigan. Hiring that idiot that poisoned the Flint water. And the other idiot that came along with him, Mr. Bill Schuette, for the attorney general. What a giant bozo that guy is. First Amendment, Bill Schuette, look it up. I'll be using it on you as much as I liberally choose. I'm going to have to play the Bill Schuette song again one day here soon. Have you ever heard the Bill Schuette song? I'm gonna have to dig it up and play it. Maybe during the commercial break, I'll dig out the gear necessary to make that happen. I don't know. I like the Bill Schuette song. It's on my list in my iTunes stuff. You can go and get the. Is it called the Bill Schuette song? It's called the Billy Bong song. If you look it up on iTunes, you can actually download it for $1, I think, from iTunes. It's the Billy Bong song, and you can tell it's the Billy Bong song because there's an image of the Attorney General with horns growing out of his head and flames behind him. And it's by DJ Medspliff. That would be me. I wonder if anybody's going to download the Billy Bong song now. It never charted on iTunes. It's probably never going to, but it's a good song. And it really tells the story. It kind of tells the story in a dance music sort of way of the medical marijuana plight in this state. And really, it relates to all other states except for the Bill Schuette part. Because Bill Schuette's name is repeatedly mentioned in this song. It's only a couple of half minutes long. In any event, so we're glad to be back here doing the show after that event. Look, Bernie took everything out of me yesterday. And then there was the aftermatch, watching until 3 o'clock in the morning. The polls roll in and finally have them decide, Bernie won Michigan. Oh, wait a minute, I got to wait for Hawaii to figure out what happened. Oh, Oakland County, Wayne County's really slow. Wayne County's going to take a little while longer. They're always, I remember this the last election cycle. Look, if you know if the talking heads at CNN remember that it took Wayne County, one specific county in one specific state, an exorbitant amount of time to count polls and get them turned in as election results, you know you're really, really, really slow. So, they did, though, and Bernie won by, was it 2 or 3%? Something like that. I don't know. Happy congratulations to Bernie Sanders. He had to get that done, and he did in the state of Michigan. He's still splitting delegates, right? It doesn't help him a lot with delegates, but it put some steam back in his campaign, and people want to go work for Bernie Sanders. Look, I was one of them. I'd suggest when Bernie comes to your town, Florida, what? California, what? Campaign for Bernie Sanders. He's doing a lot for the cannabis question and the rest of the nation. Back after the break with more.
You're getting the full melt.
If you're like us, your pets aren't just animals. They're members of your family. Pet Pain CBD hemp oil drops are great for aging as well as active dogs and cats. Some people are apprehensive about hemp treatments for pets. They ask us, what are you smoking? Absolutely nothing, and neither will your pet. Like other hemp-based products for humans, the allure is all of the benefits of cannabis without any of the high. The CBD oil has shown to rejuvenate the bones, joints, brain, stomach, eyes, and heart. And the drops contain absolutely no corn, wheat, soy, artificial colors and flavors, or preservatives. Pick some up today. Visit petpain.com. or ask for Pet Pain at your local pet store. PetPain.com. CBD relief for your pet.
Hey, it's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Door Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571. 571.
What's up with these things, Victor?
We decided to give ourselves stickers for each feature we release.
We read about 10,000 suggestions a week to create features that, as traders, we'd want to use.
10,000 suggestions? Who reads all of those?
does. He does.
For all the confidence you need, TD Ameritrade. You got this.
Introducing Sacred Elements, a place for natural and alternative healing for the mind, body, and soul. Sacred Elements. It's one place, all solutions.
Registered, licensed, certified, ordained.
Sacred Elements.
Massage, hypnosis, Reiki.
Sacred Elements.
Raindrop, aroma and color therapy, body detox, ministry, life coaching, weight and nutrition counseling.
Sacred Elements. Next to the Sweet Leaf, 400 South Door Highway, Flint.
11 to 7 daily, closed Sunday.
Call 810-259-2570. It's the Full Melt Radio Show.
Radio show.
All right, I had to run out to the car during the break. For a couple of reasons, I guess. The first reason was to get this cord. I got this cord now, and I can plug in the thing that I need to play that song with, and other stuff, by the way. Second thing is, you hear my voice is a little obscured by something in my mouth. Let me see what this is. Not sure what it is here. Oh, yeah, I remember what that is. I remember what that is now. So, we were talking about the Clinton thing, the Sanders thing. Bernie winning yesterday in Michigan. What a great thing. And then the news comes along today. And so the show is titled about this business. What did I title the show about? Forgot now. NFL thing, Iowans, no. Cannon Beach, no. Romancing the... I wanted to do the romancing the stoned. My week of sex while high on everything marijuana product imaginable. High on every marijuana product you can think of. And then having sex. We'll talk about that story. It's titillating, isn't it? What is this? Oh, I know what it was. It's the story about religion and politics. Where's it at? Where'd it go? Oh, man, it couldn't have disappeared on me. State committee, no. Borough introducing, no. NFL, no. Iowans, no. Cannon Beach, no. Romancing, no. Here we go. This is the one. This is from the Religion News Service. Now, that name is very confusing to me, the Religion News Service. To me, those things almost don't coincide. I mean, what are you doing? Giving us the news religiously? Because that's how I would take it as a secular meaning. The religion news. We come to you religiously every day. No, this is the Religion News Service. I take it by its name, based on a little educated guess, that the Religion News Service is likely a news service of some religion. Let's find out which one. A purpose to everything under the sun, including marijuana. This story reported today, March 9th, by Steve Raby at religionnews.com. Dateline, Colorado Springs, RNS, the Religion News Service. They build it this way on their own website, the religion. So I want to know, is Religion News Service kind of like UPI? Is it kind of like, what's the other big news? I always used UPI when I was doing news, what was it? In the 80s, we had this, and it was loud. It was noisy. And the newsroom always ran with this thing. And if it ever ran out of paper, an alarm would go off, and you'd have to fill it with another roll of paper. And there were stacks and stacks and stacks of boxes of paper rolls to fill this thing up with. But it was literally a ticker tape news service. I mean, it was a dot matrix printer hooked to some UPI satellite up on the roof of the building. And it would just go, zing, zing, zing. It would do this all day. And it would drive you insane. Eventually, it's kind of like living next to the railroad tracks. You would eventually forget about it. Eventually, you wouldn't hear it anymore. Subconsciously, you would just filter it out because it's so annoying. Have you ever gone to somebody's house where there is a train that literally goes by outside? and you're talking to them, and the rumble, obscures your conversation, and you can't hear anything but the train, and then the train goes by, and then you can hear people again, and you're like, hey, could you say that again? Because I couldn't hear anything for the train, and the people are looking at you like you got three heads because they're used to operating in that arena. They're conditioned to this condition. The RNS. I wonder if they're like the UPI. Do they have a little going off in some rectory somewhere? What is this? The Religion News Service. It sounds so official. But usually, if you're Reuters is another one. Reuters is another news service. So I'm wondering if these guys are thinking, well, hey, we can bleed in our religious angle if we create a news service, and we'll get some legitimacy that way, because I know the whole faith in a bundle, you got to believe, which gives you all kinds of room to say all kinds of crazy stuff. No, just believe me. Have faith. To me, these things don't go together when you're talking about news, especially if you're taking news from that perspective. Because is it really news? Reuters, I don't see an issue with. These guys are just a news reporting agency. They're not founded on some principle or ordainment. However, this religion news service sounds like it may well be. 4 years ago, an evangelical Christian family entered Colorado's booming medical marijuana marketplace, so says religionnews.com, and developed an extract called Charlotte's Web. You would know this and evangelical Christian family, as they are quoted as being here, evangelical. A Christian family in the Colorado mountains. You would know these guys if you've ever watched some television programming about medical cannabis and the rise of this issue. I mean, these guys are pretty famous. They've been on TV in a couple different series. And are actively involved. And truly interested in helping these kids. Generally, they are kids because people with this condition aren't used to living very long. Usually, these kids end up dying from seizure disorders. The Stanley brothers, all six of whom attended Colorado Springs Christian School, saw God's hand at work when some local parents found that giving the dark oil to their epileptic children ended their violent seizures. That's when it really sank in, said Joel Stanley, the eldest of the brothers. It's not a fluke. This is not going away. There's a purpose to everything under the sun, including the marijuana plant. Word got out, and over the next year and a half, more than 500 families relocated to Colorado. These medical refugees strained family bonds and budgets to give their kids Charlotte's Web, not available legally in many states. As the success is mounted, Stanley said, quote, "It was a transformation for me, and I was angry that I had been told marijuana was evil and of no medical benefit. At that point, it was very easy for me to reconcile marijuana with my Christian faith," end quote. Now, mind you, I've always thought that the Stanley brothers were fairly clean cut. You could tell they came from a family with likely strong religious background. This was just, I don't know if it's a sixth sense about me that told me this, but there was something almost puritanical about the existence of these brothers and their involvement in the marijuana community. Because although they're known for the Charlotte's Web thing, let's always remember that the Stanley brothers are a family with interest in multiple medical marijuana dispensaries in Colorado. And I would venture to say since then, likely elsewhere as well. I know that the Stanley brothers have a controlling arm over the issue on cannabis oil distribution currently in Florida, absent growers being able to get it to the marketplace in the 2 years that have come to pass since the existence of, or the beginning, the initiation of that law. The low THC cannabis oil law in Florida that they consider a medical marijuana law. It is, in fact, that. But it's not a broad law. It is a very, very, very narrow law. I say any law that passes the legal muster or taking criminal penalties away from especially medical marijuana is a good law, no matter how narrowly focused, no matter how prohibitionist viewed or created. The Stanleys, along with two of the initial parents, Paige Figi and Heather Jackson, founded a nonprofit called Realm of Caring to help the relocated families. Most of the Realm's $600,000 plus annual budget is funded with profits from the family business, CW Botanicals. When you're looking at the morality of marijuana, subtitle of this article, serving medical refugees wasn't enough. Jackson and Figgy decided to help parents change laws in their home states so everyone could return home with the extract. Before they knew it, these pioneering moms, marijuana moms, had helped change the laws in 19 states and in 18 months. Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Iowa, Kentucky, Maryland, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, New York, Carolina, North Carolina, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Virginia, Wisconsin, and Wyoming in alphabetical order, with some stumble. Idaho's governor vetoed the bill there. Jackson, who said her Christian faith is everything to her, it's the pie, not a piece of the pie, she said. Talked to her minister as she wrestled with the morality of marijuana. I'm a byproduct of the 80s, and just say no. So I grew up thinking this was evil, she said. Stacy Mobley, minister of the Church of Christ of Colorado Springs, an independent Bible-based congregation, said members support Jackson's work. God made the plant and said in Genesis 1:31 that everything he made was good, was very good, said Mobley, who opposes recreational marijuana. We are firsthand witnesses of its benefits in the providential healing of Zachy, and I believe Heather is driven by obligation because she is a Christian to do good to all. Their initial story and victory came in Utah, home to some of the nation's most restrictive alcohol laws. Jackson quickly won over the legislature's conservative caucus, and the two moms worked with parents of epileptic children and supporters of medical marijuana to pressure politicians. Charlie's Law, named after a Utah child with epilepsy, was signed into law on March of 2014, a century after the state outlawed marijuana. This was our first indication that we can actually do this, said Jackson, a church-going Christian who will speak this April at Q, a national conference in Denver designed to help Christian leaders address contemporary culture. Charlotte's Web was named after Paige Figgy's 9-year-old daughter, Charlotte, who has Dravet syndrome. In 2015, Paige Figgy, who was raised Catholic and had no previous experience in social movements, founded the Coalition for Access Now to lobby nationwide. I'm not an activist, said Figgy. I'm very introverted, I mistakenly say. I don't like the spotlight. I'm just a mother of a sick kid who's looking for the best treatment with the least side effects. But I was seeing Charlotte's story over and over. Kids were walking out of wheelchairs. Doctors were astounded. After witnessing all of this with my own eyes, I realized I couldn't stand idly by and do nothing. Figgy has made friends in state houses across the country, including Georgia State Rep Alan Peake. She's the godmother of this movement, and I'm privileged to be working alongside her, said Peake, who championed his state's medical marijuana bill known as Haley's Hope Act, which was signed into law in April of 2015. I'm a Christian guy, so even to get into this space has been a significant paradigm shift for me, said Peake, a Southern Baptist. But this is a compassion issue for me. Christ commands us to care for the sick. Peake has visited Colorado to meet with Georgia families that relocated for Charlotte's Web, and he admits that he illegally transported bottles of the oil back to Georgia to help families who can't get it there. He also founded a charity called Journey of Hope that provides Georgia families with financial assistance so they can relocate to Colorado. I'm willing, he says, to do whatever it takes to give them access. So says Peake, who condemns the lunacy of federal drug laws that make, quote, criminals out of parents and citizens who only want medicine to improve the quality of their own lives. And I would argue independently that applies to medical marijuana patients across the board. This story does go on at length, and I will not have time. I don't know, to go for it anyways. Federal drug laws dating to the Nixon administration group marijuana with other Schedule I drugs like heroin and LSD that have, quote, a high potential for abuse, end quote, and, quote, no currently accepted medical use, end quote. Charlotte's Web doesn't make patients, quote, high. It's low in THC, the psychoactive ingredient that gives pot its buzz, but it's high in CBD, which has healing properties. The needed CBD can be extracted from hemp, marijuana's non-druggy industrial cousin, so Peake has introduced legislation to allow Georgia to grow hemp. Many Protestant groups, including mainline Methodists, Presbyterians, Lutherans, Episcopalians, support some form of medical marijuana, but most evangelics remain pot prohibitionists, like their anti-alcohol ancestors of a century ago. Peake's hemp cultivation bill is sponsored by the Georgia Baptist Convention, which views hemp legalization as an incremental step towards liberalized drug laws. The GBC's spokesman called marijuana medical marijuana an oxymoron similar to jumbo shrimp, and the GBC's resolution on the dangers of marijuana describes pot as a gateway to further drug abuse, addiction, health problems, psychosis, and crime. Colorado's medical marijuana moms now aim to change federal law. Last May, U.S. Senator Cory Gardner, a Republican of Colorado, introduced the Coalition for Access Now's Therapeutic Hemp Medical Access Act of 2015 in the U.S. Senate. The Senate Bill 1333 has already attracted dozens of co-sponsors on both sides of the aisle. We're not promoting recreational marijuana, said Paige Figge. We're trying to fix a mistake in our laws. This is how the American system of government works. Meanwhile, new medical refugees keep arriving. Dante Busey and daughter Alexia recently visited Realm of Caring from New Jersey, where medical marijuana is available, but not CBD oil. Our doctors told us our best hope is to go to Colorado, she said. And that's how the story ends. It's also how you get what people are now terming in this first world country, the first, the strongest, the most powerful and wealthiest of first world countries, as medical refugees, all running off to the state of Colorado.
You're getting the full melt.
I've seen things no man should bear, and those that every man should dare. From the beaches of Normandy to the far reaches of the earth. In my life, I have lived millions of lives. I've outrun robots and danced with dinosaurs. I've faced the faces of fear and fortitude and witnessed great beauty in the making. I've kept the company of kings and queens, but I'm no royalty or saint. I've traveled, trekked, wandered, and roamed, only to find myself right where I belong.
Jeep. See your authorized Jeep retailer for details on how you can become a Jeep owner. When you need legal help, you don't want to guess at who's standing next to you in court. And when it comes to a medical marijuana defense, it's even smarter to partner with a lawyer before you need one. Based in Royal Oak, David Rudoy has a proven history of not being afraid to take your case all the way to the Supreme Court and win. Find the law offices of Rudoy Law
at RudoyLaw.com.
RudoyLaw.com is a quick reference on your rights concerning Michigan medical marijuana
and up-to-date news.
That's RUDOI Law.com. Call 248-935-9074 now and talk about your legal needs, because at RudoyLaw.com, we don't just stand up for you, we stand up with you.
We asked people to tell us something that happened in their past and something that might happen in their future. The good things were put on yellow magnets and the bad ones on blue. The results show the past was a pretty even mix of good and bad, yet the future was almost all good things. Now that you've seen the results of this experiment, what does it mean to you?
We all want to think about positive stuff.
Realistically, there will be downtimes.
It's great to think optimistically, but let's plan for whatever the future might bring.
Prudential, bring your challenges.
RootMetrics, in the nation's largest independent study, tested wireless performance across the country. Verizon won big with 153 state wins. AT&T got 38, Sprint got 2, and T-Mobile got 0. Verizon also won first in the U.S. for data, call, speed, and reliability. AT&T got text. Stuck on an average network? Join Verizon, and we'll cover your cost to switch.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show. Chatting with David Radoy, advertiser on this show, and fantastic medical marijuana attorney, just cannabis attorney in general. And I would just, even to take cannabis out of there, just call him a fantastic attorney, David Radoy is. Welcome back to the Full Melt Show. I'm Steve Green, your host. The program airs from 7 until 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday. I guess we're still in daylight time. Okay, Eastern Daylight Time, Monday through Friday. If you ever want to call the program, our phones are sponsored by the NoSmell.com people for Candlelock bags and other no-smell products. Check them out at NoSmell.com. Talking to David Radoy because I was trying to get him on to give us an update about a couple of things, some fascinating cases he was working on, and some progress made here in the state of Michigan. Almost miraculously, out of nowhere, comes the flowers from the typical top hat. And I want to know how he did that. Entrapment by estoppel, I'm hearing. Those are the jingling bells of legal terms coming from the legalese camp. Entrapment by estoppel. So what else was going on in the news? Because that story, there's that thing with the that other bit that we were just talking about, religious views on cannabis, especially when people start to you start linking in tradition and faith and religion, and you start stitching that into the theme of compassion, which then connects to the other further dot of patients, sick people, the nor too well-to-do in health. Then that dot connects further back to cannabis, especially on the ones that can't get you high. I don't know why everybody's worried about the getting high part. Do you know how many pharmaceutical drugs Americans take prescribed by, and they're just prescribed off-label at great expense? There's a giant system feeding off of medical patients. We call it big pharma in the marijuana community. Big pharmaceutical. Those people are pumping down the pipeline tons and tons of drugs, both existing and new ones in the pipeline, that will get you high as F and also address a symptom, generally. Not a treatment, not a cure. Well, it's treating a symptom. So you feel better, but you're still sick. It's like, well, my headache went away and I'm not sick to my stomach anymore, so I've got the flu, but I still feel better. There's nothing on the market that does that, by the way. I'm just using this as an example, holding it on high. No pun intended. I don't know why everybody's got to get all bent out of shape about the high part. There are tons of drugs already on the market where a side effect is you getting high. Primarily amongst them, and ask the people that take these in an abusive sort of way, because this is a drug that's easy to abuse. Opiates of any kind. I don't care how small they are in quantity, in dose. Because little doses add up to a big dose. And eventually you'll reach the dose that you desire. And opiates are one of these things where you build a tolerance and need more, build a tolerance and need more, build a tolerance and need more. It's a never-ending hole to feed. And the problem is that if you ever break away from that, if you're lucky enough to get away from that, and when I mean lucky, I mean getting sick for 10 days where you wish you were dead, because I've never gone through this, but I've seen people who have. I heard about it when I was a kid on a record player in the 6th grade as we listened in the science class to required material about drug abuse. This was about heroin addiction, left over from the 70s in the Vietnam War. But it described some terrible conditions that I knew about then from that. And they were all accurate. They were all true. Nothing changed about heroin except its use in the country over time. Heroin is an opiate. It's an illicit opiate. Versions of heroin, including heroin itself, just a medicalized name for it, appear in hospitals all across this nation and are used frequently for people with severe pain issues under certain circumstances, given there are no allergies in play. But these medications are only meant to hold back pain for somebody in a small way, meant to assist getting over a pain hump, not to be a crutch, a permanent crutch to use to divert it. Because one of the effects of opiates is this. If you just had, let's just say, for example, you had no pain issue, right? And then you began taking opiates. Just say recreationally, you started taking somebody's Vicodin because they didn't need them anymore, or they moved on, or you bought them, or whatever. You're taking some opiates, and you start taking them recreationally, and you start taking them regularly, and all of a sudden, you know, 1 or 2 doesn't do anything for me anymore, so I'm going to take 3 this time, and that really didn't do a bump, so I'm going to start doing 4 at a time. And that turns into 8 at a time, and then 16 at a time, and pretty soon you're chewing them like Tic Tacs. And you're literally chewing them up, disgusting as they are, because it gets into your system faster that way. Makes you feel all warm and fuzzy. Makes that sick feeling you're about to encounter go away. That's the addiction of it all. Because you don't even have to, as soon as you start to get sick, you don't even have to get high. As soon as you start to get sick, you're going to need some just to keep from getting sick. You'll never get high, but at least you'll not get sick anymore. But the chances are, if you got access to it, you're going to do a little bit more than get you unsick so that you can get high too, because that's what you were after in the first place. But let's just say, for example, now you go through the 10 miserable days to get over that physical addiction, because it's going to make you violently sick for a very long time. Can't sleep, can't eat, wish you were dead, shitting your brains out, sweating, freezing. Your worst flu times 100. That miserable. For that long. This is why nobody ever wants to get sick. This is why they're always out doing things that would be harmful to other people so that they can get that fixed, to keep from having to go through that torture. Those drugs, when you stop taking them, not only make you sick for a week like that, but now, the moment you're not sick, you're also going to be in pain, and a lot of it, depending on how addicted you were and how long you used them. See, what's gone in with these opiates, they've gone in and changed your brain chemistry. So natural pain reducing is no longer a normal affair for your body. It doesn't have that capacity anymore because it's been masked with this sea of opiates for so long that your body doesn't respond normally anymore. And even though your body doesn't have a need to report any pain, because that sea of luxury isn't there anymore, it reports pain anyways. Lots of it. And that doesn't go away in your 7-day to 10-day time frame. It stays with you long term. As much as a month longer, 2 months longer. You're in physical pain where it didn't exist before, and for no cause other than that you're an opiate addict. But somehow cannabis, which will do none of that to you, incidentally, and also won't kill you. See, that's the other problem with these opiates. If you stop doing them, maybe you go into treatment, and you come out of treatment, and you fall off the wagon. It's going to happen. As hard as you might try, it's likely going to happen unless you change access, move entirely out of the area, change your phone number, get away from all your friends. Deny yourself physical access, and also be in a treatment setting. Once you go through all of that, and then you go back, from that setting, if you're a strong addict, you should probably go into residential treatment. You probably go into, it's kind of a half-step house back to normality. It's a clean, it's a drug-free house where you're living with other people who have the same issue. Criminally, at least as one roommate at least. Got support of it, they're available. So that there's what you call social activity that's not going to drive you back to the place you were before. It's support, and it's meant to cement in your sobriety. This isn't going to happen, though, all the time for everybody. At some point, somebody might slip out, or somebody might slip in, and drugs get reintroduced into the... you'd be immediately thrown out by the rest of the house. And you'd have to go back into the front door again. The regular... not at the halfway house, but now back into treatment. You have to go back to treatment, assuming they take you back. They might not take you back. They might say that we've done our best for you. You've got to find another facility they can do for you better than we could because you wouldn't listen to us, and now you want back. When you stop doing that and then you go back out onto the street and you are exposed to that drug and you start taking it again, you're going to take it at the same rate you left off at, right? That's what got you high before. That's what you're going to need now. No. The moment that withdrawal stopped and the sickness went away, so did your tolerance, all of it. So now, if you do a dose like that, before anybody can do anything about it, you'll be dead. Because it's going to impact your heart and breathing. It's going to stop both of them because you're overdosed. You've got no tolerance built to this. Ever happens with anything marijuana. Concentrates included. You'll get uncomfortably high. You'll like it for a minute. There's a way out of it. There's an antidote to all of that. But none of it's physically dangerous. You're not going to stop breathing. You're not going to die. Has happened 0 times in the whole of human history.
You're getting the full melt.
Promotional consideration provided by NoSmell.com, pioneering the storage market for cannabis users. The NoSmell patented bag technology offers users 100% smell-proof detection from even the most sophisticated of noses. NoSmell.com, so nobody knows. When placing your order for a no-smell bag, make sure to use discount code FULLMELT and take 10% off the entire order. Learn more about no-smell technology at nosmell.com.
Young students are our future. They're eager to learn, eager to succeed, eager to make the world a better place. And they want to make it to school safely. Share the road. Take care when passing. And always leave 3 feet between you and people on bikes. Bikes are legal road vehicles. We're all drivers.
When you need legal help, you don't want to guess at who's standing next to you in court. And when it comes to a medical marijuana defense, it's even smarter to partner with a lawyer before you need one. Based in Royal Oak, David Rudoy has a proven history of not being afraid to take your case all the way to the Supreme Court and win. Find the law offices of Rudoy Law
at RudoyLaw.com.
RudoyLaw.com is a quick reference on your rights concerning Michigan medical marijuana
and up-to-date news.
That's RUDOI Law.com. Call 248-935-9074 now and talk about your legal needs, because at RudoyLaw.com, we don't just stand up for you, we stand up with you.
If you're like us, your pets aren't just animals. They're members of your family. Pet Pain CBD hemp oil drops are great for aging as well as active dogs and cats. Some people are apprehensive about hemp treatments for pets. They ask us, what are you smoking? Absolutely nothing, and neither will your pet. Like other hemp-based products for humans, the allure is all of the benefits of cannabis without any of the high. The CBD oil has shown to rejuvenate the bones, joints, brain, stomach, eyes, and heart. And the drops contain absolutely no corn, wheat, soy, artificial colors and flavors, or preservatives. Pick some up today. Visit petpain.com. Ask for Pet Pain at your local pet store. Petpain.com. CBD relief for your pet.
Hey, it's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Door Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571. 571. It's the Full Melt Radio Show.
I just want to stay in the sun.
All right, I told you before I play the Billy Bong song. And then I'm hoping that maybe I'll get a ding from, if there's a ding during the show, maybe, I don't know if you'll be able to hear the ding during the song. Oh, because it's a song that's, I started to play it there actually by accident. There's a ding in the song. Oh, I can hear I can hear it in the background. It's a little loud. Hang on. Let me shut it off. Oh, jeez. I want it to go to the, play next. Do it that way. All right, hang on. Hold on. Now I'm all confused about this thing. Can we go back to the beginning? There we go. I'm hoping we can get Joe Brown on to do a Butters update from the Michigan hemp farm out there in Saranac, Michigan. Industrial hemp farm living. He's living off the land, growing all his food. He's raising all his livestock. If they can't shoot it in the woods, kill it in the barn, or reap it in the fields, they ain't eating it. So I'm hoping maybe if there's a ding during the song, he texted back and said yes or no. But he just went back out on the farm starting this last week to go back out and start doing all that. So this is the Billy Bong song. I'm only playing this because we mentioned it earlier, and I try to follow up when I mention I'll play something I do. So I'd gone out to the car to get the little connector cord, and so now that we're at the end of the show, I might as well play it. This is a song that I introduced.
We're working to end these conflicts.
I introduced it. Here's the song.
Popping up.
Pot shops. Everywhere I go.
Shooty.
Everywhere I go. Pot shops.
Shooty.
Pot shops.
In several towns.
Drug houses. Pot shops.
Shooty.
Pot shops. Drug houses.
In several towns.
Medical marijuana.
Bill Shooty.
I voted medical marijuana everywhere I go. Medical marijuana drug houses. Medical marijuana drug houses. But
clarify Michigan's medical marijuana laws.
I voted for. People say,
Bill Shooty.
I voted.
Voters approved medical marijuana in 2008.
But.
We're working to end these conflicts.
Drug houses, pot shops.
Bill Shooty.
I'm not considered in a closed lock facility, therefore I cannot use the medical marijuana defense.
Bill Shooty.
We're working to end these conflicts.
Here in Michigan, oftentimes people feel like they're alone.
Who the Oakland County Sheriff's Department had guns to my daughter-in-law's head.
Pot shops. Drug houses.
Medical marijuana dispensaries have been popping up in several towns.
I voted medical marijuana everywhere I go. Medical marijuana drug houses. Medical marijuana drug houses. But I voted for the people say, I voted for legalization of marijuana.
And it is my obligation to
end these conflicts. Let us do it.
But.
Guns to my daughter-in-law's head.
I voted.
There are more penitentiaries being built in America than there are schools.
I'd be sad, just as sad as he would be if he lost custody of me. Because my dad has had me for 10 years. I don't want to lose my dad. I don't want to lose my family.
That war has never ended in the United States. Oh, it's going to start again. I can't let it do it again. Too much. That's good. That's going to be. I'm going to play that part again. Just that little bong snorkel. Can I do this? Just
working to end.
No. That's what it's going to be. That part right there. I'm gonna use that.
We're working.
I should I include the? I'm gonna. So you know how you get a little. I said there's going to be a ding. It might be somebody texting me saying that. Hey, I'm going to do the interview or not. By the way, he didn't. There was no ding, so he didn't do the text. So he never saw it. So he's not going to be on. I wanted to do that Butters update from Saranac. Butters is a goat. We'll get into that later when it makes sense. Right now, there's no time. I've been making this app so that ding is actually a form of a push notification. That little ding, or there's a certain one that happens with Facebook. It's a certain different sound. When I get pushes from ABC News, it's whoosh. It's a whoosh. You can change that sound. And so the app that I'm working on, I think when a push notification comes, that's how I think I'm going to make it come. I think I'm going to do that. Maybe I should make it a vote. Maybe I should put vote for the app sound on the app and let people vote it in what they want the push notification sound to be. It's designed, the push notification is designed so that, because it won't be just me broadcasting on the app. Big talent lined up to be broadcasting on this app. Lots and lots of it. If all works out as planned, and I think it will. And I've been in talks with them. And so when each of these broadcasters broadcasts live, they can send a little push notification if you've subscribed to their show and want to receive them. That says, hey, we're on the air and this is what we're talking about. But the sound that the app makes, I've been working on trying to dig up, and I think that's what I'm going to use. Is that same sound effect that I used. And by the way, I think I made that sound effect. That's called Foleying. I think I actually Foleyed those sounds. So I got a lighter out. I got a bong out. In this case, it really wasn't a bong. I used a Foley trick. I used a paper cup and a straw. And I blew bubbles. Instead of doing the sucking sound and making the bubbles go the other way, I just blew the bubbles. And it sounds like a bong. It just actually, I tried a bong, and a bong didn't sound as good as the bubbles with the straw. So I used the bubbles with the straw. I'll just play it again. This is not a bong. Is it still here? It is. Here it is.
And these
wait. Here it is. See, it sounds like that. Those bubbles sound like a bong going off, but they're not. They sound like, and it's a straw. I mean, that's an actual Bic lighter, and then a straw. And then I think I was the one going. But anyway, I think that's what I'm going to do. The app is make it the sound, because who's got an app that does that? I wonder if I should do that, because maybe people wouldn't want to have the push notification because they're standing in grocery line with their kid, and out of their purse comes this bong sound. Maybe I better rethink that. I don't know. Maybe that's why I should put it up there as a vote. Or maybe you could select. I want the sound to be the bong sound, or I want the song to be some other non-identifying identifier. Oh, my. If we run out of time yet, we really, really have. There was so much other news I really would have liked to have gotten a chance to. But sometimes I feel like I crammed too much news in. Felt like just spacing it out a little bit. I mean, if you want a couple of other headlines, check them out. They're available at Google. Borough in Fairbanks, Alaska, introducing 6% marijuana sales tax. Can the cousin of marijuana's plant ease NFL's concussion problem? They're talking about hemp. And the Senate committee urges the state to proceed with caution on legal retail marijuana or recreational marijuana out of Boston. Tomorrow we'll see you again for another edition of The Full Melt Show.
The Full Melt Show is a production of TFM Media.